complete February 2026 comic and graphic novel haul. What do I specify? Well, you'll soon see here. Those of you who know how I specify or know why I specify already know, but for new viewers, you'll soon see here. First, a little bit of an intro. First and foremost, that I am recording this right on March 1st, right when I'm going to be uploading it. Usually I'm a few days ahead of schedule, but because it was winter break, I was more concerned, well, not more concerned, but I pushed this one off till today because first of all, I knew I could, and secondly, because there's winter break, today being the last day of winter break, I gotta stop saying already off to a rocky start. I wanted to get a lot of reading done. In fact, I read 26 comics per day from last Saturday to just last night. And whenever that happens, and I only had 1 week off, officially, whenever that happens, I usually at the end of it, I'm like, thank God that's over, kind of thing. Like in the summer, I'm probably gonna end up going 1 week on, 1 week off because it proves to be a hassle. Like I love to read, obviously, I love comics, as you can probably tell. But there's that again. Don't do a drinking game every time this Justin comic says because you'll be dead within the first minute. But so saying the thing about the comics and then. Oh, but even I have my limits. Like, I love comics. Obviously, you can tell that, but even I have my limits with how much I like to read. I think a good number would be, like, 10 to 12. I think that's a good ballpark figure. Maybe throw in 12th one's an OGN. In fact, I'm reading that Batman Hong Kong one right now that I'm hating. And it's proven to be a hassle. It's just boring. It's dull. You'll get a review of it maybe tomorrow. Depends on when I decide to upload it. Or record, not upload. It all depends on when I decide to record it. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later in the week, I don't know. But, there's it again. Let's just get on with it. So first one is, I don't usually do this. I usually wait for the trades to come out. I'm a trade waiter, I'm exclusively a trade waiter. Trade waiter by design. Trade waiter first and foremost. The reason why I'm a trade waiter is because, I don't like being a trade waiter because it's to test my patience, but also these look better on the shelf than do these. Now, to have on the shelf, like, please stay up, like that, and have it be on display, that's pretty cool. In fact, on the other side of this shelf, I do have some on display, some of these floppies. In the Mylar bag, of course. But to have those on the shelf, that looks so much better than to have a bunch of comics next to each other. Secondly, it's more cost effective. These are $3.99 each, and they're like 32 pages at most. A trade typically is $16.99, and it collects 4 to 6 issues, roughly. Usually it's like 3 issues. Usually it's only because, they're double sized. So, but still, the same page count is still the same, but it's 3 issues because the author decided to go crazy, insane, in Insano style, and make it double the length, so you feel like it's double the length, and the pacing is doubly as strained because it's double length. You will soon, well, not soon, because I don't know when of these videos uploaded, but there's a book that I was reading this past week called Bear Pirate Viking Queen, also by Image Comics, written by Sean Lewis, and my god, that pacing, I was like, this would be so much better if you just made it 6 issues. There was no reason to make it 50 pages each, 3 issues. You should have made it 25 pages each, 6 issues. And I know it was a non-issue. I could just read it half, but I don't want to do that. I'm a completist. But anyways, going back to the whole trades versus floppies, it's just, in general, a better idea. Like this right here, getting all 5 of these was $20. Free shipping on eBay. But I should have only had to pay $16.99 for it. But I had to pay $20 for it, which is not that much more. And honestly, it was worth it in my eyes, especially because eBay, you gotta pay for shipping. So typically, I'd probably paying $21.99 if anything, if I want to get this trade early. Because Amazon Prime themselves, they're a month late now for Image books, which is really annoying. Oh, one other thing I want to mention before I get into it, this month. And especially next month, I'm trying to cut down on the amount of books that I got that were from third-party sellers off Amazon and eBay. This is going to be the last month until at least May that I stick with that. And so next month is going to be all Prime shipping. So I'm hoping, if all goes well, and this is if all goes well too, that it'll all be prime shipping books, so they'll all arrive within 2 to 3 days, and I'll have them all. I'm sick of waiting for these fucking third-party sellers, and then it's USPS. It's like, oh, they're gonna come in today when they get their fucking driveway because it's decided to have a blizzard yet again. It's just a lot of that, and yeah, Amazon's the same way. But I would argue that USPS is more likely to have a delay than Amazon would, and then not just because of weather, just because generally I've had books that should have arrived the next day, but they stayed in the same facility overnight and then overnight again. It was really annoying. Just all that bullshit I'm sick of dealing with. It's not too bad. Honestly, I am overselling it the way I'm saying it right now. I am definitely making it sound like it's a lot worse than it actually was. It was like, God forbid I had to wait an extra day. I shouldn't have had to, but God forbid it was 1 day later than I expected it to be. Honestly, the books all came in relatively quickly. It's just me checking it every 5 seconds and being surprised that it still hasn't moved from let's say, the Rhode Island facility to the Springfield facility in the matter of 5 minutes. And that's also an exaggeration. I have been getting comics from USPS, or I've been dealing with USPS shipping with my comics for a long ass time now. It's more just me comparing it to last time, saying, well, last time when this happened, and then you left this facility at 11:30, and now it's 12:30. So what the hell was going on? It's more of that. I think is the best way to explain it. But anyways, let's get into it. First up with Dark Honor, issues 1. And this, by the way, the seller that gave me this from eBay, they gave me all 5 issues in one floppy, so I had to take them all out, and the floppy was sticky. It was weird. It's like they used tape on it. Maybe it was just tape left over from the box itself. I don't know. But it's sticky tape, like the other thing. It's like we used tape residue. So honestly, I threw that out. Like gross. But I use my own makeshift floppies. eBay sellers, if you're watching this, if any of you guys are eBay sellers, just buy 5 fucking floppies and don't shove them all into one. Now, if you're a new time seller like me, because I'm actually going to be giving away some comics on my Instagram account, that's an excuse. That's a valid excuse. If you're a new seller and you don't usually sell comics, I don't usually sell comics myself. But if you're new to the game and you don't usually do it, but you're doing it for I'm doing it for a giveaway. So that's different. But that's obviously neither here nor there, and that's a valid excuse. But if you've been selling comics for a long time, like at least a year, buy 5 floppies. If you're selling 5 comics, put them in individual floppies. The other seller did. Like when I got Star Signs 1 through 7, they did individual floppies, from what I remember. Alright, so I'm only going to show the artwork for Dark Honor issue 1, because that's what I would do if it was a trade. I would try my best to do it from the first issue. So Dark Honor, and again, assuming that the creative team is the same the whole way through. So Dark Honor issue 1 is created and written by K.S. Bruce and Brian D. Kubelis, but is adapted by Ethan Sachs, the artist being Fico Ossio. Colorist is Rachiel Avila. Like how the letter is just Jane, no last name. Editor Chris Ryell, because this is published under his publishing company, Image exclusively, of course, but I was Image Comics Skybound for Invincible and all those books. The other publisher is, it's Imprint actually, is his, I forget the name of it, but it's his publishing company, his publishing imprint. Now, Dark Honor was a series that I was waiting for trade, because it was the last thing I needed from Ethan Sachs. This one kind of snuck up on me too. Like, oh, here's Ethan Sachs with Dark Honor. I didn't even know he was adapting it. I thought it was just writing it. It's weird that it says adapted by. Even I don't know what exactly that means. Because I don't think it was a Spanish comic that was translated. It could be, but I don't think so. Like most of the covers. So here's the cover to issue 2. Issue 3. I don't know why that was so hard for me to read the number. It's like it was, I don't even know. Like small print, but it wasn't that small print. It wasn't that small print. Issue 4. I don't mind my voice to that thing. Issue 5, when I was saying issue 3. Alright. First book down, and we are already 10 minutes in. Nice! I said not as many comics this time around, too. The other thing I wanted to try for was to have... Here, let me put a better spot. The other thing I'm trying to do is get less comics. You know, if I'm putting off a $30 comic because I want to get 3 $10 comics, I kind of ask myself, do we really need to do that, or should we get the $30 book? There's again. That's not to say last month I was quantity over quality, or I'm ever quantity over quality, but sometimes I will put it off because I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm getting kind of cold feet. And this month, honestly, it was just more like impulse buy. I would honestly say this month is impulse buy. Impulse purchases. Not that I'm running out of things I want for comics in general, even from Image themselves. Like I'm doing this one publisher. Even from Image, there's 1,000 books I need that I want. Well, I didn't say need. There's probably 1,000 comics. I would say honestly, there's 1,000 Image books I want really bad. That's how much they publish. So much as many books they've been pumping out since '92. And then I don't know I'm stuttering either. But there's again. So, publishing and. Oh, and the other thing was that I was going to get this stack. Okay, let's say it was this stack of trades. 10, this is 5 trades. I was like, all right, I'm getting this stack, but it's from a third-party seller. Some, like 3 of them were from a third-party seller, and it was saying, we're not coming in until March 3rd to the 5th. And I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to get these comics as soon as possible, even from third-party sellers. So if it was March 2nd, if it was anywhere beyond February 27th, the estimated delivery date, I didn't get it. And that is why it was less comics, because there was like, oh, instead of getting these comics aren't going to come in until March 2nd, at least from what they're saying, let's instead get this book that's $30 instead of, and it's 1 book, and then not get 3 books that are $10 each with, an exhibit. They're from third-party seller and they're cheaper. That's also what I was doing. That's also how I kind of dialed down the stack. Was that? I dialed down stack. That's how I minimized the stack, is I decided to do that. And honestly, I think it worked out for the best. The ones that I didn't end up getting, I was glad that I sacrificed it, because at the end of the day, I thought it was everything that was by this author, but it wasn't, because there's a lot of stuff they did that was just in floppy form only and not trades. And because my trade waiter exclusively, I didn't know until I looked into it, and I found that out. I was like, oh shit. Glad I didn't invest in that. Glad I know that. So it's probably my birthday, I go all out. But anyways, next up is The Unchosen, which is written, I believe, and drawn by David Marquez. Now, this one completely snuck up on me. Completely. Yep, story and art by David Marquez. Color art by Maria Louise. Now, what I mean by that, I mean that this one I forgot existed. Completely forgot existed. And then I was going through the new releases on Amazon from Image Comics. You can go by that. You gotta scroll down and says, like, this one's like number 15 in Image Comics graphic novels. You'd hit that, and then it brings you to this other page that'd be new releases, bestsellers, most wished for, all that. And so here's the artwork for Unchosen. And I saw this one. I was like, oh shit, that's right. I was supposed to get this a long time ago. A month ago. And then when I skinned its teeth, I was able to get that one. So this one collects 1 through 4 of the Unchosen. Thank Christ I had a gift card. I'm gonna actually put this in a different order. You'll see why pretty thin here. There's a reason. There's a method to my madness. So what I did this month, and I time will tell if this ends up being a good decision or not, is that I broke a big rule that I have for budgeting comics. Now, the reason why I did that was because I was like, well, what else am I going to get? I don't want to deal with third-party sellers too much this month, unless there's a book I wanted, and I was not going to pass up no matter what, so I dealt with third-party seller for one book. And when I say third-party seller, I'm talking exclusively on Amazon. I will specify if it's eBay. I don't consider eBay to be a third-party seller because I think a third-party sellers I think of exclusively Amazon. Yeah, I know eBay is it a third-party seller or isn't it? That's neither like eBay is a website in my eyes. The same way Amazon is a website. I do not consider eBay to be a third-party seller. I consider it to be a website. So that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm so glad my brain decided to kick in. I don't know if my brain is like fizzing out, like it's going like in and out, kind of like a I don't even know. I can't make the comparison right now. But anyways, the major rule that I broke, and it was mostly because I was able to, because I was like, well, what else am I going to get? You know, I don't mind breaking this one rule if I get more comics, is that I don't like getting incomplete series. And what I mean by that is that this is Blood and Thunder Volume 1. But there's more than just this. In fact, we're up to, I think, issue 9 right now of Blood and Thunder as this recording. So Blood and Thunder Volume 1, The Prisoner on Cell Block X. Written by Benito Serrano. Artist E.J. Su. Colorist is Masasik. Weird name. Here, it's too dark. Here is the artwork, perfect, for Blood and Thunder. So this one, it's not even everything that Benito Serrano has done for Image Comics thus far. He has another series called Hectoplasm that's currently still going. That trade hasn't come out yet, so whatever, I guess. But no, I just like that. But no, this one, I don't think he has anything else. I think he just has this, maybe some Invincible stuff. I think he did some of the spin-offs, I believe, for Invincible. And then this, and then Hectoplasm, I think is all that he's done thus far for Image. But the reason why I did this is, first and foremost, Uncanny Omar of the American Condition does Image Comics overviews. He gets some exclusively from Image. He is very lucky. And yes, I do wish that Image would do the same to me, but I know they're not going to because I'm not a big YouTuber, and I don't think anybody know my existence, which is fine. I'm not even going to come close to saying that, anything of the sort. But it would be nice. Like it's a dream of mine to have a publisher like Image. Probably Image. If I had to choose, I would say Image because I've been getting their shit nonstop for the past 3 years now. 2022, so 3, 4, 5, 6. What the fuck? 4 years? Man, does time fly by fast. Yeah, I started in 2022. You don't include the year. Well, I should, but no, you don't include the year that you started. It goes 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't include 2022. But 4 to 5 years that I've been collecting nothing but, actually no, as of May, it'll be a full year. So almost 4 months nonstop. 4 months. Come on, brain. Almost 4 years nonstop collecting Image trades and floppies and what have you. Now, of course, when it comes to digital books, I don't just do Image. I do every other publisher. Libraries, every other publisher. It's every publisher. I don't specify. I'm not like, no, I don't want to get anything from Image. But actually, honestly, digital, I don't like getting. If I have to get Image. Like, there's a one shot that was $2. It's like, can't pass that up. Can't pass that deal. Get that on Kindle. I like to have them in physical format. But again, if you can't pass up a good deal, just get it off of there rather than to pay shipping for a floppy. But anyways, Blood and Thunder. So this one was featured. So he does overviews, and this one was the only one that I didn't own previously. So he did. It was Bug Wars, Napalm Lullaby, Null Hunter, and Blood and Thunder. And Blood and Thunder was the one I didn't have. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get that now. So now it's like the thumbnail, you see all the books. Like, hey, I have all those. Purely a novelty. If nothing else. But yes, 1 through 6 of Blood and Thunder. Am I gonna do that again? God, no. Because he goes over Spawn. They will never collect Spawn. Out of pure spite because of how many fucking spin-offs there are. It is so goddamn annoying. I get it, Spawn's like Invincible, you have a lot of characters, and you want to have the characters have their exclusive series and their mini-series, but it's like, enough is enough, Todd McFarlane. It's like, you're turning me off more and more with every new Spawn spin-off that comes out. Now, will there come a day where I get just a mini-series? Like, if there's a She Spawns mini-series, I don't know if it's a mini-series, the one that's coming up by Gail Simone in May. I don't know if it's a mini-series or not. I almost want to say it's a mini-series. Maybe. But it's also, it's going to budget myself as I ignore Spawn. And also, I broke this rule, the Darkness and Witchblade. But even then, it's just a new series I'm collecting. Even then, it's only because I feel like the complete collections that we're getting, that I also am collecting, I feel like those will not collect the new series. Like, I'll stop working when a new series comes out. Which I hope that, someday I do finally collect that last complete collection of the Darkness and Witchblade that was released, and then collects all the series that were released, all the issues that were released, the final few issues that were released before the reboot. And I'm talking the newest reboot. I hope that day comes soon. In the sense that, 3 years from now. They're just so far behind on it, is my point. But anyways, I already showed the artwork, I already showed you guys who was involved, took us how many issues it collects, we're all good. So the reason why for comic hauls I get sidetracked is because I don't like being, here's book, this is Ghost Pepper Volume 1, it's written by these people, and it collects 1 through 5, and then, look, that's it, here's the artwork, that's it. There are certain segues, there are certain topics I do like to bring up. Now, maybe that's not your thing. Hey, there's an AI that can tell you what books they went over. They'll tell you the timestamp too. Let's test it out right now. The next book is Ghost Pepper Volume 1, Flavors of Ash. No, I don't know why my phone's going off right now. It's friggin' emails that I should check right now, but it's not a big deal. But anyways, Ghost Pepper Volume 1, Flavors of Ash, collecting 1 through 5 of Ghost Pepper. The first 5 issues, which is written by Ludo Lullaby, who is also the artist and letterer, and Adriano Lucas is the colorist. And why did I pause there? Because the first thing I saw was 3 names related to the covers, which is Ludo Lullaby, Joe Mudaria, and Ito, the covers. Now this is another one I broke my rule to. There's at least, it's actually going to be a 2-volume series. So even better. At least Blood and Thunder is an ongoing. This is a mini-series. So it's like I could have waited. Just 2 volumes. God forbid I have to wait until August, But I broke my rule. I was like, you know what? Let's get it now. And also another thing to think about is okay, this is just $16.99. I'd have to just add $16.99, another $16.99 book to my August haul. What if August I don't want to do that? What if August I can't pass up anything? And now that I bought this early, I can now afford whatever the fuck it was that I was going to get in August. What if that happens? You don't know that. I can't predict the future same way as you guys can't predict the future. So what if that happens? Then what? That's kind of what I was thinking this time around. But I don't like to do that. In fact, this comic haul is slightly disappointing because of that. This one's comic haul is. But I knew what I was going in for when I sacrificed. I made a huge sacrifice because, again, it was the books by this author. I couldn't get them all. It would have been too much money. Especially because they were new releases I wanted. So I was either, don't get the new releases I really, really want, just so I can get everything by this author, and then have it be be overstuffed, if you will. Or sacrifice that, and then do this instead. And I'm kind of glad I decided to do that instead. But anyways, so I went over the issues. I told you guys the creative team. I know I showed the artwork, but I want to do it again for Ghost Pepper Volume 1. I know I already did it. Now this one only collects 1 through 5, which is really foreign to me because it's 11 issues total. You would think they would just do 1 through 6 and then 7 to 11 for Volume 2. But they didn't do that. If anything, Null Hunter was 10 issues. They just waited for all 10 issues to release and gave you a trade. It was all in one. Like, other than that. Honestly, I think for a 10, I think if your series is 10 to 12 issues, just wait. Don't do Volume 1 and Volume 2. Just do all in one. Now, that's a huge sacrifice if you're a trade... If you know your... fan base is it's a bunch of trade waiters. Like, my fan base is 99% trade waiters. We can't do that, or else we'll go out of business. Then fine, do that. But I feel like for every single publisher, their fan base is, their customers are both trade waiters and some are floppies. Some will get them out as floppies as they're coming out. But I get it. Like, actually, AWA Upshot, every trade is $10, so I'm sure a great majority of their clientele or their customers is trade waiters. Because unless I want to pay $4 for 4 issues, that's more than the trade is. Might as well wait for the trades come out. Because again, I went over the upsides of being a trade waiter, of having trades on the shelf. I think I went over how many issues Collect 1 through 5. I went with the Crave team. I just feel like I'm forgetting something when I mention these books. I know I'm not. Next 2 are written by the same author, that being Maria Lovelit. This is Crave being first. Why did it sound weird? I felt like there was a word I forgot to say. Like, I was like, I don't know. But anyways, Crave and Violent Flowers. Both written, I believe, both drawn too by Maria Lovelit. Story and art. Story and art. So actually, Violent Flowers, everything is done by Maria Lovelit. The artwork, the writing, the lettering, the designs. All a one-trick pony Maria is. I think that's cool. I always have found that to be really neat, that one person does everything. Especially when it looks like this. Like, my good lord. 1 through 4 of Violent Flowers is collected in this. Right? It's 1 through 4? Yes. Collects Violent Flowers 1 through 4. Now, the only series I need left is not Juvenile. Juvenile wasn't even written by her. It's drawn by her, though. I don't know what the newest series is. There's a new series that's out right now. Actually, I'm getting 4 issues. All 4 issues have been released, so if I decided to be a floppy wait, if I said all floppies, it'd be done now, but whatevs. If I was on trade waiter, I'd have them all by now, so I meant to say. First up is Violent Flowers. We just showed the artwork. I know I did. Yeah, I know I did. Actually, I know I did, because I was going over how great the artwork was. I was like, oh, she did everything. Isn't that cool? But here, with Crave, which collects 1 through 5, I believe, of Crave, the logo design is Jesus Orlano. But I just said it's just logo design. Still, everything else is done by Maria Lovelit. I don't know why sometimes the issue numbers aren't right here and sometimes they are. Like the other book, it was right here for Violent Flowers, but same author, same everything. Around the same release date, too. Crave 1 through 6. I knew I was wrong. Crave 1 through 6. So 10 issues, 11 if you because I got the one shot she did that collected all her image work all in one book, which is really nice. That's on the Kindle. But the Kindle's on the iPad, and the iPad is what I'm using to film. Tablet. I hate saying iPad. I don't know why. And I don't know why tablet sounds so much better to me than iPad does. I think it's because you say iPad kid, not tablet kid. And no, I'm not an iPad kid. I use my iPad so infrequently that I'm sure I honestly, I think the thing does kill itself. Like, it's like, you're not going to use me, fine. It gets depressed and then it dies. Like, it'll go from 100 to 65 in the span of one day, and it dies by itself, I swear. The only thing I use my iPad for is to film and to read Kindle books. Both of which are now more infrequent now than they were before. Especially reading comics on the Kindle. I have no excuse for not doing that as often. That was one of my New Year's resolutions, in fact, was to read more comics on the Kindle. But I obviously have other books to read that I deem more important. I mean, some are library books, so obviously. Okay, so we got all that. Did the artwork for Crave? Did the artwork for Crave? I don't know if I did. Probably did. I just feel like I didn't. In fact, I know I did. Alright, so here's the artwork for Crave. So, another thing I did this month is none of these books I read before. Starting last month, I did that. Last month I had read Space Mullet before, but it was like, it wasn't before I bought it. It was I bought it, I got the library's copy for like doing the novelty reasons. Long story short, a lot of the books I have on my shelf are from the library, and even if I own the book, sometimes I just like in the library's copy. Just because a novelist, like, hey, this book I had read the library before, so I want to do it again, I read it again, yada, yada, yada. In fact, I'm reading Wicked to the Vine again, but I'm reading the compendium, thanks to one of the Linear Libraries. That at least makes sense. It's a different format. For Ghosted, I wanted to read the individual trades. If not only because they lost Volume 2 when I first wanted to read Ghosted. For the longest time, I never got to read Ghosted. In fact, the first time I read Ghosted was not through my library's copies, but through my personal copy that I bought myself way after, far after. It was like years after. It was crazy. But then I said, hey, it looks like they have Volume 2 finally. And they did. I got all 4 of the trades. So that makes sense why I did that there. But yeah, to do it with a book like Space Mullet, like, come on, really? Just read your copy. Now, The Moon is Falling Us, Volume 1, my copy is actually in worse condition. And I was, keep in mind, I got that new, brand spanking new from Amazon, but then it's in worse condition than the library's copy is. No, I don't know how that is at all fair, or right, or morally just. Anyways, moving on. Next book up is Waterloo Sunset. And this book I got from a third-party seller that I'll never be buying from ever again. And I'm going to out them the way that they deserve to be outed. Second story book is awful. Not completely devoid of merit, but they lied. And when you lie about the condition of a book that I'm paying $15 for, which actually was less than this one. This was $17.99, to be fair. That's the price on this book. But if I'm paying basically list price which says used like new, it should actually be used like new and not borderline used very good. This is more used very good than it is used like new. Now, a little bend here, that's, I guess, fine. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if the lighting is going to show it. There's a little bend right here, a little crease. But then what looks to be a very small, faint coffee stain right there. I don't know why that's there or how that got there, but it's there. Now, is it going to affect the reading of the book? Even the little bend the little crease going to affect the reading of this book? No, it's not. But I'm paying $15 for used like new. If this was Wonder Book, this would be $7. And I would be fine with the condition it came in if this was $7. But I had to pay, this is including shipping, $15 for this book. This is from 2006. This should have been like $3, honestly, with shipping. Added shipping, like $8 total. It should have been $7 to $8. But I paid $15. So yeah, I'm adding them. But this collects all 4 issues of Waterloo Sunset. Obviously, each issue was a bit bigger than your average comic book length. The length of your average comic book. The Tin Can Society. This was one that I'm so the reason why I get books off eBay and I get them early is because of the fact that eBay, I think they're really, but eBay, or on Amazon. So Amazon's a month late. eBay is the date that it released in comic shops. Because eBay is from, it can be anybody. Like, you could sell this I could sell this on eBay. That's how easily accessible eBay is. So you get comic shops, like my comic shop is actually one that sells stuff on eBay, they take a very long time to ship out and arrive. So I usually don't like using my comic shop. They're kind of a last resort for me. But if I want top-notch quality and I don't mind waiting, and I just tell my impatient ass to shut the fuck up and deal with it, then I will use my comic shop. Other than that, other than the one downside, they're a very phenomenal, an absolutely phenomenal third-party seller. Even with a trade like this, they will put it in the floppy, which I think is phenomenal. Which I think is already going above and beyond. But yeah, that's why I do it. And typically, so another downside to my comic shop is you're paying for shipping. So, and the more books you buy, the less shipping you have to a shipping cost, to be fair. But you are still paying for shipping. So this would be $21 when you add in shipping, when the list price is $20. So it's not that much above the list price. It could be worse, but it's still, you still are paying over cover price. I think that's a bit scummy. Tad bit scummy. I think it should equal up to the list price when you factor in shipping. So it's like, if it's a $15 book, $10 plus $4.99 of shipping. Now I know it's the whole. I was watching this after watching this. It was from a video game salesman, and he said, "Oh, I really hate buying Nintendo Switch 2 games because our rivals will put them at a discount 2 weeks after we get them, and we can't afford to do that." So I think it's the same thing with my comic shop. They just can't afford to make them cheaper than they already are. And I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Again, paying a little bit over list price is not a big deal to me. It's just a little bit annoying. But anyways, the Tin Can Society collects all 9 issues of this miniseries. It took forever to come out. This shit, my phone's way over there. You know what? Let's take a little break. So, again, third-party sellers in general. Let's talk about them. So, Amazon, the best one overall for me is Wonderbook. I think I didn't check that email. It was nothing. I think they're the overall best quality, the overall best shipping time, shipping speed, and just in general. And also, not shipping speed, but also condition. Now, half-price books is the worst. I hate having to deal with half-price books. If I'm going to their facility, their actual store, that's obviously different. But their shipping is awful. They put them in this cheap ass garbage bag looking fucking plastic wrap. Now it does go around the actual comic itself, but it's so tightly wound that if the mail guy so much as does, I'll do with a book I don't care about to get a little bit damaged. If he does so much as this hits it against the mailbox, then. So the reason why I said I don't care, I was going to do it a little harder, but I think you guys get the point. If that so much as happens, the book's going to get creased. You do it with an Amazon box, that doesn't really matter. And it could happen too. Like if you shove it, because our mailman will sometimes shove packages in the mailbox. If it fits. Even if they just squeeze it really hard, it's a mailman's motto. So you do have to deal with that, and I hate that. I hate to have to deal with that, but that's the way he does it. And honestly, it's not a big deal. So far, so good. But I hate when he does it when I have a book from Half Price Books because you'll get some bends here or there. I feel like Half Price Books is no better than Amazon is with the way they ship their books out. And it's longer. There was one time I had to wait 14 days for a book to ship out and arrive. And even better, on the 13th day, They said, we delivered the wrong address, and it was looking like they didn't say anything because they didn't specify. It was almost looking like they had to go all the way back to the facility. Thank God the next day they're like, oh, you were, I'm going to fake address. You were Springfield, Ohio? We thought you were Springfield, they thought you were Shelbyville, Ohio. Tee-hee. It was so annoying. That was like, honestly, I was just ready to give Half Price Books to Ruby a piece of my mind. But yeah, Half Price Books is kind of awful. Now, it's never happened again, but I always do have to wait the longest for Half Price Books. If I have a collection of 16 books and I'm waiting on a 17th book to come in, and it's like, if I show all 16 books, like, oh, I'm waiting on one, and it's taking a little bit longer to come in, odds are it's because it's from Half Price Books. They're always the last to come in. Like, always, always. Never have they been the first to arrive. Now, there has been some times where half-price books, Emerald, I think it is, would sometimes ship in pretty quickly. But that was very rare. And honestly, it wouldn't happen twice in a row. But usually, 9 times out of 10, the last book I'd be waiting on would be from half-price books. That's why I don't tend to use their services. Threads books is not much better. Only slightly better. So yeah, Tin Can, going to the task at hand. Tin Can Society, I swear, issue 1 came out 2 years before. Like 2 years earlier. Alright, so 2026. For a trade. See, issue 1. Yep, it took 2 years. So, issue 1 comes out September 18th, 2024. Issue 9, it comes out December 31st, 2025. It's a long wait, because I think it was bi-monthly, it looks like. Except for a few issues weren't. So after issue 5, it looks like it was bi-monthly. In fact, so issue 5 comes out January 22nd, 2025. Then we have to wait all the way till March 5th, 2025 for issue 6. Then it was July 16th for issue 7, September 3rd for issue 8, and then December 31st for issue 9. And February for the trade. So that's why when I saw that coming out, I'm like, I'm getting this on eBay. I'm not waiting a single second longer. I absolutely have to. And I'll show the artwork for the Tin Can Society. Also, for image trays, why do we get this sometimes? This wavy ass paper. It makes it look like it's almost looks like it has water damage, especially when I'm feeling the pages themselves. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Alright, so there's the artwork. I don't want to bend this too. I don't want to stretch out the spine too much. So that's the best we're going to get. We are also using daylight. So let's get moving. Alright, 2 more after this. The Last Days of American Crime. This one I put off for way too long. I should have gotten this ages ago, but I forgot about it. I was going to get it, let's say 2 years ago. I was going to get it 2 years ago. Then I think what happened was I was thinking I was going to get the money to afford it, but then for some reason or other I didn't. I don't know if it was I thought I was going to get a gift card or something like that. I don't know what happened. It was something like that, but it didn't end up working out. And then I kept forgetting about it. I kept pushing it. I kept pushing it off first. Then for like a few years, I completely forgot about it until it's now. And I was like, hey, let's get that finally. I'm glad I did. Now, Rick Remender is the one I will always break the rule for because how much he's been publishing recently for Image Comics. He has 3 series out consecutively, and a lot of his shit is out of print. Like, and I should have got. This is what I was gonna get. I was gonna get this and the omnibus of Crawl Space, and I should have stuck to my guns. I should have known that Crawl Space omnibus would be soon out of print, but now I can't get it. And because it's out of print, it's $125 for a trade that's $50. I'm not paying that much. I'm not paying extortion fees for one book. No siree, Bob. But anyways, this collects all 3 issues of the miniseries of The Last Days of American Crime. Wait, I went way too fast. Okay, we're rushing. Back to Tin Can Society. We're rushing. Okay. Story is done by Peter Warren and Rick Remender. So I was wrong. I had said that Rick Remender was nowhere in the whoopsies. Oh well. Writer is Peter Warren. Artist Francesco Mobili. Colorist is Chris Chakri. So I was wrong. I'm glad I checked that. This is why I double check the credits page. I know, and the credits page for these books. I know that Peter Warren was the writer, but I wanted to make sure there was no co-writer. I'm glad I did that. So here's the artwork for Tin Can Society. Alright, so now we can move on to The Last Days of American Crime. Again, I was going to get this a while ago. Completely forgot about it until it's now. Collects all 3 issues of this miniseries, written by Rick Remender, with artwork by I should remember the name, but I don't. Greg Josini, who's kind of a controversial artist. I'm flipping through this. I see nothing wrong with this artwork. Here, I'll put it. We'll zoom right in. I see nothing wrong with this artwork. A lot of people have issues with it. I don't. Now, there's a Netflix adaptation. I've heard it's awful. I'm probably not going to check it out, but I might. It's also 2.5 hours, so I'm probably not going to. If it was like an hour and a half, I would have been fine with it. But it's 2.5 hours of a movie that everyone says is awful and has a very low IMDb rating. Black Heart Billy, the 25th anniversary edition, presented in what I like to call the Image Comics Absolute format. Now, this is even bigger than the deluxe editions. For like Bitterroot, this is bigger than that. Those you see above me, those hardcovers are deluxe editions, except the ones way over there. So the ones like right here, those are all, let's say Rat Queen's Omnibus. That's the best way to show it. But this is bigger, taller than the Rat Queen's Omnibus. Obviously not thicker. So this was $30, and I honestly, like, one thing I will always give credit where it's due. If you're going to charge a pretty expensive price for a hardcover, at least justify the price. If I'm paying $30 for a hardcover that's not even 200 pages, make it absolute edition size. Because already I felt like I got the most for my buck. I felt like that was the perfect price for this book. Because they can't make it any cheaper. I know you can't make it $20. That's, you're going to lose money, even if it's a bestseller. So the reason why I rushed out to get this one was because, first of all, this is all in one. And second of all, it was limited to one printing only. Now, did I think it was going to go out of print immediately? Part of me did. So I kind of panicked. And I was like, all right, let's get this as soon as possible. Honestly, I'm a bit late. So it's a good thing that this never went out of print. Kieran Dwyer is the artist. So it's actually written by Rick Remender, Kieran Dwyer, and Harper Jutten. The artwork is done by both Kieran Dwyer and Harper Jutten, and Rick Remender, and Paul Ezekita. And the art and the covers is done by Kieran Dwyer, Rick Remender, and Marino Denizzo. I always forget, edited by no one, obviously, kind of funny. But I always forget that Rick Remender is also an artist. There's probably a reason why he's not an artist anymore. I wouldn't say that. Here, it's black and white, so here is the artwork for Black Heart Billy. I thought it was Black Top Billy. And no, I don't know why I thought it was Black Top Billy. But this was, I believe, originally published under IDW. And this is a 25th anniversary edition, so this is old. But cool. Glad I got this. I'm one of the first people to have this, by the way. Even Near My Condition, I've not done an overview yet. Last but not least is Altamont, which is written by Henry Hanna with artwork done by Charlie Adlard. And I believe, actually not check to make sure of this, but I believe Black Heart Billy was a OGN. I should check to make sure before I move on completely. Looks like it. Okay. Alright. Then we got Altamont. Again, written by Henry Hanna, with artwork done by Charlie Adlard of The Walking Dead fame. I always wonder if these artists, these people that worked on The Walking Dead, like for instance, or Invincible, or any of these big name comic books, I honestly wonder if they would be nearly as popular if they didn't work on those books, you know? I know that sounds obvious, but you know what I mean. Like people, I'm not talking popular among normies. I'm talking popular among even comic book fans. Like would Charlie Adlard be a household name among comic fans if not for Walking Dead? Because honestly, I want you guys like, well, obviously he wouldn't be. Really think about what I said. I'm not talking people that like my mom that watch The Walking Dead, like, oh, who's the artist? And like, oh, it's this guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking, like, comic book fans like myself, like most of you guys watching, like Near Mint Condition, but also comic book fans that are just starting out and know these names. And I mean just starting out. Like, they don't exclusively do Marvel and DC. They'll do any post. They'll get whatever they want to get their hands on, they read and they remember the names. That they're just starting out being super into comics, what I meant. Felt like I should specify that. And here is the artwork for Altamont. Show another page. I always like when I do this too. If you're gonna make your comic not absolute edition, I think the next best thing is to make it a little bit wider and a little bit taller than your. Wait, it's taller. Yeah, it was taller. I had to put it at the very end. A bit taller than an omnibus size. Not thicker, obviously. If you can't make it thicker, make it a bit taller and longer to justify the cover price. Which this is actually $25, so it really does justify the price. But it's like 136 pages too, so you know. But anyways, that, as they say, is that. 11 comics when you include Dark Honor. If you say Dark, like, for me, I'm kind of squeezing all 5 issues of Dark Honor into one and acting as if it were a trade. So 11, but 15 if you're going by units. Pretty satisfying comic haul. Satisfying. That was not the word. That was a stupid word to use. That was overselling it. Alright. That, as I say, is that. It has been 15 minutes of me prattling on. That is it.